Ukraine will receive profits from frozen Russian assets. The ambassadors of the European Union countries approved a scheme for the usage of income generated by Russian funds blocked in the EU. The Belgian presidency of the EU Council confirmed. Correspondents from the scene were the first to report the decision.
White smoke! EU ambassadors have agreed the final step, sending the seized windfall profits of Russian state assets that are frozen in the EU to Ukraine. Rikard Jozwiak, Europe editor for Radio Liberty on social network X.
The total value of the frozen assets of the Russian central bank is, according to various estimates, from 260 to 350 million euros. About 210 billion euros are blocked in Europe. Most of them are in the Euroclear depository in Belgium. It should be understood that Russian money is not only cash. A significant part of them are funds in deposit accounts, as well as securities, shares and bonds. Assets that work and generate income right now. They still belong to Russia. However, according to EU regulations, Euroclear reinvests these earnings, in other words, reuses them to make a profit. And this profit is the property not of the aggressor country, but of the depository itself. Transfer of them to the needs of Ukraine is a much simpler procedure from a legal point compared to complete seizure of Russian assets.
There are fears that the confiscation of Russian assets would be considered a violation of the Russian state's property rights and would undermine the status of the Eurozone and the euro as a reserve currency used by many countries around the world. But using the proceeds from frozen assets is another story, and it is more acceptable in the modern world. In Europe, a consensus has been reached that these incomes should be used in favor of Ukraine, and not just in favor of Ukraine, but in favor of Ukraine's military needs. This is a step forward.
About 90% of the profits from Russian assets will be used to purchase weapons and military equipment for the Ukrainian defense forces. The remaining 10% will be used to restore infrastructure.
We in Europe have reached a consensus that we want to use the windfall profits from Russian assets. This is a significant sum, amounting to several billions per year. We also came to an agreement, which is now in the final stages, that we also want to use about 90% of these funds for defense purposes of Ukraine.
The US is also looking for a way to make Russia pay for its aggression. There are about $4–5 billion of blocked Russian assets there. At the end of April 2024, President Biden approved a law giving him the authority to transfer Russian sovereign assets frozen in American banks for the restoration of Ukraine. The law also defines specific steps for transfer of funds. We are talking, among other things, about the need to create an international mechanism for compensating the damage caused to Ukraine by the Russian war. Reported by Halina Babenko, Valeria Nikipelova, UATV News.